Hey everybody, this is Ryan the Linguist Blogger, recording live from my new home here in the Rocky Mountains. And I just wanted to weigh in on something that people have been buzzing about here on YouTube, and that is what makes for an effective language learner. And the way I see it, there are 4 factors that are extremely important. Okay? And I'm going to go over them in this video. The first one is your state of mind. So what do I mean by the state of mind? Well, firstly, I mean your attitude. Okay? So if you have a good attitude, you could even say that you're passionate about the language, you fell in love with the language. Well then, guess what? You're more likely to learn the language. Language learning takes a long time, and so if you love it, then it won't feel like it's a chore. Conversely, if you whine about things that you really can't change, like, why does Russian have so many declensions, or why do the endings in Korean all sound the same, or lots of other different things you could whine about when you're learning a language, you're going to lose momentum, you're going to lose steam, and you probably aren't going to end up learning the language, not well anyway, because your attitude wasn't good. So, firstly, attitude. Second, motivation. Do you have a strong motivation? Is there somebody special in your life, or someone that you want to be special in your life? And would that certain someone like it if you spoke a language, or would you get to know that person more easily if you knew the language? Could be you want to make friends. Maybe you love. Maybe you need it for work. Maybe you need it for studies. Maybe you're getting in touch with your heritage. Whatever your motivation is, it helps if it's strong. Because again, it takes a while. If you don't have a very strong motivation, if you just start off being kind of mildly curious, and it never really progresses, your motivation never really progresses to anything more than just a mild curiosity, you're going to lose interest, and after a couple of weeks or a month, you're not going to study. You're going to start studying irregularly, and that's just not going to help you learn the language. So you want to find a really strong motivation. And lastly, when it comes to your state of mind, you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe yourself in general, because you're going to hit a plateau, you're going to hit a wall when it comes to language learning, maybe several times during the language process. If you don't believe in yourself, you're going to hit that wall and you're going to stop. But if you believe in yourself, you're going to bust through it eventually. You're going to keep on going and going and going. And as you can tell, these different subjects, they overlap a bit, but that's okay. It all has to do with your state of mind. So that's the first thing. What's your state of mind? The next factor is your method. Okay? Stuart J. Raj, if you don't know who that is, look him up on YouTube. He's a fantastic polyglot. Stuart J. Raj was asked, how do you do it? How do you learn all of these languages? And he thought about it and he said, everybody's got an X factor. So when I'm talking about your method, I'm talking about finding what your X factor is. Okay? No single language learning method is going to work for you 100%. If you want to be successful at language learning, you need to keep on looking at different ways of learning languages, testing things out. It's kind of a process of trial and error, right? You need to go through that process until you found what works for you. And when you found what works for you, then you're golden. But until then, you're going to have problems because you're going to be working on methods that don't lend themselves to your learning style, and you're going to possibly start thinking that you're just not good at it. Well, maybe you need a better method. And not just a better method, but is your method good for listening comprehension? Is your method good for reading? Is it good for writing? And is it good for speaking? You may have a good method for 1 or 2, but not all. So keep on that going along that process of trial and error, till you find your X factor, the method that works for you. So state of mind, your method, and opportunity. You need to have opportunities to use the language or to be exposed to the language. So do you use it in your professional life, in your family life, in your social life? Ask any professional athlete, any professional musician. Even ask anyone who uses a skill on a regular basis, an engineer, an architect. Ask them, what would happen if you only did this once a week? Would you be able to perform at the same level? I guarantee you, inevitably they'll say, no, I'm going to get worse. If I take a month off, I feel like I've lost a year of progress, some may say. All right? So you need to use it. You need to find ways. Have contact with native speakers, find exposure to print, and multimedia. So you're doing that right now. If you're practicing your English, I'm speaking very quickly. But, get on YouTube, find songs that you enjoy, find books that you like, find different manuals for learning languages, different courses, and go to where the native speakers are. Okay? You might not be able to do all of them, but focus on what you can do. Focus on the opportunities you can come into contact with. So first, your state of mind. Second, your method. Third, your opportunity. And fourth, and this is a controversial one, I know, the fourth has to do with this. Yeah, lots of different studies have been made, folks. Hundreds of studies over the past hundreds of years that show that performance pretty much always falls along this bell curve. Most of us fall somewhere in the middle. Pretty much, we're okay. We have some natural innate abilities. Some people are on the edges here, and they have what we would call quite a bit of talent. And then there's some people on the far edges who have almost no talent or have extreme talent. But the fourth factor is that, it's talent. Okay? So what do I mean by talent? I mean your innate ability. You catch on easily. So talent does exist. That's the first point. And then the next point is there are lots of different talents that are useful in language learning. A lot of times we think of only being able to memorize words quickly, being able to synthesize, analyze, and then use grammar quickly, and having a good ear and understanding the musicality of the language well. Yes, those are talents that are important in the language learning process, and you may have one or two or three of them. If you're lucky, you have all of them, but those aren't the only ones. Maybe you're gregarious. Maybe you're really good at making friends. That's helpful in the learning language process, and if you have a very charming personality, they'll be more patient with you, and you're much more likely to progress. Maybe you pick up on cultural differences very quickly. So what I would say when it comes to grammar, focus on what you are good at. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you do have a talent for this aspect of language learning or that aspect of language learning. Maybe you're good at learning foreign scripts. You can learn to write in Arabic in an afternoon, in a couple of hours, or whatever. There are lots of different talents that lend themselves to language learning. Focus on what you do have. Don't worry too much about what you don't have, and you'll go far. So again, that's your state of mind, your method, your opportunity, and your own innate talents and abilities. You can't have any of those things be absent, but you're going to be stronger in some areas more than others, so think about that. There's food for thought. Think about what you're naturally good at. Think about where you're lacking, where you're strong, where you'd like to move. And I'm anxious I hope this is helpful to you in your language learning efforts. And I'm anxious to see what comments you may have. Thanks a lot.